Uh, the name of our company is Akasha Cloud, and we do hybrid cloud cost management for a multitude of platforms. This session is a drill down on our solution for the Google Cloud Platform. So as I'm sure you're aware, there have been a variety of solutions offerings in terms of IaaS clouds. You can divide them up into some tier 1 clouds, which we're calling the mega clouds, as well as several tier 2 and tier 3 options. Tier 2 and tier 3 options are either specialized or local clouds that are smaller in size. The rise of the mega clouds. Of all the clouds, 4 of these have shown themselves to be bigger and better than all of the others, and they're Azure, AWS, Google, as well as SoftLayer. Now, as you're considering clouds, the reasons why you would pick different clouds is these 4 reasons: security, performance, locations, as well as cost. Security, this has become a much more mature feature now. All the clouds are secure, roughly equally secure. There are a lot of studies that show that cloud environments are often more secure than on-prem environments. In any case, security has now become one of the conveniences why enterprises are picking to move workloads into the cloud, because they don't have to bother about security. The cloud providers are now taking care of the security feature of the environment. The second consideration is performance. And this is still a work in progress as far as the cloud vendors go. The performance of your application not only depends on the characteristics of your application, but also where your clients are based, as well as the network bandwidth. A lot of these mega clouds are offering fat pipes to be able to ensure higher performance. They offer scale up and scale down opportunities to make sure that all of your clients are receiving adequate performance. The other big factor that affects performance is location. Another reason why a lot of enterprises pay attention to the location of these cloud providers is because of issues around data and where data can be saved. So they would prefer to have the cloud data center be located either in their geo or within their country, or preferably in their city. So location is another area. When it comes to security and performance, all the clouds are roughly equivalent. When it comes to locations, Amazon has by far more locations than any of the other clouds, although Azure, Google, and SoftLayer are starting to gradually catch up. The fourth reason is cost. And cost is something that we at Akasha take very seriously, because that's what we run our business on. And we have observed from watching all the different modeling that takes place within our tool that Amazon is the leader when it comes to lower costs for the same set of workloads. But Google is catching up with the variety of their offerings, in particular their custom templates as well as their preemptible templates. So Amazon is the leader as far as cost is concerned, and Google is catching up. Now let's talk a little bit about the rise of Google Cloud. And this is something we as a third-party vendor can attest to, whereas in the past, Amazon was the bulk of the modeling that we engaged in. Now what we're finding is a lot more customers are modeling around Google Cloud. And I found this article by Forbes magazine, which I thought was a really good summary of the reasons why Google's cloud is becoming more and more popular. And the 4 reasons are sustained user discounts, preemptible virtual machines, custom VM sizes, online disk resizing, and shared storage. So this is a good set of features why Google's cloud is becoming more and more popular. And now the question that enterprises are grappling with is When do they use preemptible templates? How do they use custom VM sizes? Um, the online discrete sizing is available to them. Shared storage is available to them. But it's number 2 and number 3 that often become a complex challenge as they're mapping to their on-prem environment. And this is where Akasha comes in, because we take a look at your on-prem environment, and within minutes, we recommend which preemptible templates and which custom VM sizes you should be using. So now let's quickly talk about what we do at Akasha, the problems we solve in particular. So there is a huge issue around the complexity of cost forecasting. Enterprises are looking forward to be migrating their workloads to the cloud and using the cloud, but the cost calculations slow them down, cost forecasting. So oftentimes they're not able to confidently answer the question whether or not they will save costs when migrating to the cloud, and if they do, how much will they save? And that is a question that we answer very accurately and quickly in just a few minutes. So the 2 main benefits that you get from using our product are cloud cost insights in minutes. And this is not just for Google, but also for Amazon, Azure, and SoftLayer. So you can take a look at side-by-side comparisons for Amazon Reserved Instance or Amazon On Demand, Azure, SoftLayer Public, SoftLayer Private, as well as Google Predefined and Google Custom. In addition to just taking a look at what your cost estimates may be in these different clouds, you can also look at right sizing. Right sizing is an important step where your on-prem environments are not 100% utilized, and typically you have spare capacity from 30% to upwards of 70%. And when you're migrating that infrastructure to the cloud, you don't want to migrate the spare capacity as well, because then you're just spending money on infrastructure that is not being used. So what Akasha does is we allow you to right size, because we take a look at utilization metrics, and then we can show you what is not being used, and then you have the ability to then not migrate the spare capacity, and then you can save even more. Now, not only do we show you where you can right size, we also show you the dollar value of what you can save. So there you can see on the screen there an actual snapshot of our product, where you can see that for that particular set of workloads, with Google Predefined, you could save $327 per month by right sizing. And if you were to use Google Custom, then you would save $40 a month from right sizing. This is typical because Google Custom CMs are far more fine-tunable. I will be showing you a demo of the product as we go along, so you'll be able to see these values for yourself. Typical uses of Akasha. Akasha is becoming a must-have software for cloud migration planning, as well as cloud assessment services. So when enterprises are thinking about the cloud, they're evaluating the cloud, that's when they bring in Akasha to be able to do the cost forecasting. And then when it comes down to actual migrations, then they bring Akasha back in to be able to do more timely and accurate cost forecasting. So we do see Akasha being used in pre-sales discussions in a big way, as well as in RFP responses, because the conversations during pre-sales, as well as in the RFP responses, are much more concrete from the data that Akasha provides. How Akasha works, we have deliberately worked very hard to make sure that the software is easy to use. And there are 3 main steps. The first is you discover the on-prem workloads, as well as the resources supporting them. And when we look at the resources, we see what has been allocated and what is actually being used. The second step would be to do right sizing and what-if analysis. And here you can model costs for the optimized workload when you're moving to the cloud. And the third step then is to model the cost for different clouds, as well as for Google. At this step, you can also compare and contrast between the costs for different clouds. Now, right after this, I'm going to jump into showing you a demo of our actual software. But before we do that, I thought we'd quickly do 3 short polls. So let me take a few. Please make sure that you answer that because they really help us in deciding on our features, etc. I'm going to give you 10 more seconds, and then we will go to the next poll. Thank you so much. Everybody responded. Here's our second question. I'm going to give you 10 more seconds. A few more people have to respond. All right, thank you. And here's our third question. Thank you very much. We really appreciate you answering the polls because they help us, like I said, in planning our features. And now what we're going to do is head to our demo. This is our software. As you recall, the first step is ingesting your on-premise workload. And here what we do is allow you to either import directly from your data source, which in this example is vCenter, but your data source could be Hyper-V or OpenStack or a physical environment or even another cloud such as Amazon. So you would ingest the data by directly entering your credentials here. So let me give you this example. So you would enter the credentials here for your data source and then click Add, and our collector functionality goes in and collects all the data that we need. The second way to ingest information is by importing from a CSV. And this is where we find that a lot of our partners who use our product to do the modeling for their customers and don't necessarily have the credentials for their customers' data source, they use our remote collector facility. The remote collector is something that they give to their end users. The end users run the Akasha remote collector in their environment. The remote collector creates 4 CSV files that the customer then emails to the partner that's using this tool, and they insert the CSV into the tool from here. In this example, I've already imported from our lab vCenter, so I have data ingested already. Now, the next step would be to go into Asset View and take a look at everything that has been discovered. So this is the environment that Akasha has discovered in this particular lab by connecting into the vCenter. At the very top here, you get a quick sense of what the monthly costs are for your environment, what the VM monthly costs are, and very useful what the spare capacity is. So here you can see that almost 40% of the environment is spare. So right away you can tell that you can save a lot of dollars by migrating this environment into a cloud. Here, this chart is interesting because you can see your on-prem costs are this much, whereas if you migrate it to different clouds, your costs are going to be much lower. You can see since we are focusing on Google, Google's costs are definitely lower than some of the others with close competition from Amazon. You can also take a look at the virtual machines that have been discovered. And here we make sure to show you all the items that are for charge items in the cloud. This includes the resources itself, the number of vCPUs and CPU cycles, disk memory, but also network usage, IO transactions, and storage allocated, etc. This is because these are not necessarily monthly charges in the on-prem environment, but they become for charge items in the cloud. So we take this out and we show you what the values are. You can also take a look at the host systems that we've discovered and the capacity, etc., as well as applications. So here you can see that the first two VMs there, we've discovered that they're running MySQL. This is useful because a lot of clouds, and Google in particular, offer specialized templates for different applications. So Amazon offers RDS for databases, and Google offers Cloud SQL for databases. So these two then would show up as RDS templates or Cloud SQL templates. The next thing you would do is go into on-prem costs, and here the product applies default cost values, but what you can do is say apply custom cost, and you can edit any of these. So you can say that this particular system is not going to be around for 36 months, and it's older, so it's going to be around only for a year. And I can say this is an expensive server. It's not 2,500. It's actually 5,000, and so on. And then if you take a look at this cost, you will see, or this cost, you will see that these values change. So this is going to change. I'm going to hit apply and save, and you saw that these values changed. So this is essentially how we allow you to customize the on-prem cost. The idea here is that you make sure that the on-prem cost is as accurate as possible so that you can do accurate side-by-side comparisons for the cloud. The next step is planning for cloud. And here I'm going to reset this so that you can see this from the beginning. This is the crux of the product, and essentially what you do here is pick your VMs that you want to migrate to the cloud and do your cost modeling as well as what-if analysis. You can select from virtual machines or hosts, or this way you can pick one, or you can select from operating systems. So you can say I'm going to take all my Windows servers and move those VMs, and so you can do that in a much more organized way. For the purposes of the demo, I'm going to pick these virtual machines and then click on Generate Estimates. There you go. So here you can see that I have picked 7 virtual machines, and this is the configuration. Over here, you can quickly eyeball and see that this is the on-prem cost. All the clouds are cheaper except for Software Private Node, which is typical because these are expensive servers. But you can see that Google Custom is actually probably the lowest. Yes, let's take a look. So Google Custom is $418 for all those 7 VMs per month. Your on-prem is over $1,000, and it's actually slightly cheaper than even Amazon Reserved Instance. So this is interesting. Now this is real-world data. This is not something that's demo data. It's actual real-world data. So here's where you can see the cost differentials between the different clouds for the same set of VMs. And we are factoring in not only the size of the VMs, but also the ongoing usage of the network as well as IO transactions. So these costs are as accurate as possible. You can jump into the details of these different clouds. So these are, for example, the templates that we are recommending for these VMs in Amazon. These are the templates we're recommending for the VMs in Azure. These are the ones in Software. Let's jump into Google. So these are the Google predefined templates. Now, you can change any of these if you want to do any what-if analysis. So you could say, instead of N1 standard, I want to use 32. And you saw that the price changed. I don't know if you saw it, but let's go back and generate estimates again. So keep an eye on this cost here. It changes from $73. So here I could say, even though Akasha is recommending N1 Standard 2, I want to use a slightly bigger cloud, a bigger template. So I picked this one, which is high CPU, which is a little bit more CPU power, and so the cost changes. The other thing I want you to note is this template here, DB N1 Standard. This is Google's Cloud SQL template. And so we've automatically picked those templates for the two VMs where we discovered MySQL was running. So you can pick those, or you can change that to say, I don't want to use a DB template, I'm going to use something else. So this is where you see what are the templates that have been chosen for your environment, and you can also do what-if analysis. The other interesting offering, which is very powerful by Google, is Google's custom templates. This is where you can actually build the templates. Now, here are the templates that Akasha is recommending for your VM. So this one, we're recommending that you build a custom template that has 2 CPU cores and 4 gigs of memory, and this is what it's going to cost you. You could change any of these too. So you could say, yeah, it has 2 CPU cores, but I think I want a bigger machine. So I'll take 4 CPU cores and take 5 gigs of memory. So you can vary all of that, and then you can see your total cost. So this is essentially where we helped you to select the candidates as well as generate the estimates for the templates. So we'll go back to our original figure. Then the next step would be to right size. So right sizing essentially is looking at the difference between what has been allocated and what has been used. So we take a look at CPU cycles as well as memory and storage. And then in the lower table here, you can see the cost savings for fully allocated or for right size. So here you can see for Amazon, reserved instance fully allocated, it is $469 a month, but for right size, it's $437. And here for Google, you can see for predefined templates, for fully allocated, it's $716. For predefined templates, right size, it's only $567 a month. For custom, it's $418, and for right size, it's $384. So you can see there's quite a bit of savings here. You can also go into these tabs and look at the differences. Where exactly are you saving? For which VMs are you saving? So you can take a look at this quickly and see that for the first VM, as well as for these two, you're saving quite a bit of money. So here we'll see what is the difference. So for fully allocated, it is the template that the product is picking is N1 Standard. But for right size, which means you're only moving what you are using, you could just pick F1 Micro instead of N1 Standard and save $67. So this is where we show you very clearly what is the dollar value of what you can save. Now, every time you migrate environments to the cloud, you don't just order up VM templates, you also order advanced options. And that's what you can pick here. So our product lets you pick from SoftLayer, Amazon, Azure, or Google. Since we're modeling for Google, I'm going to order some licenses from Google. So here are all the compute engine licenses, operating system. So let's go ahead and pick this. And I'm going to pick the number of VMs here. Then I can pick Big Store or Cloud SQL or Nearline. So you must be wondering where we get this data from. And this is essentially all the list items that Google offers, and we have written to Google's API to be able to to be able to show all the different license items that they themselves offer. You can pick App Engine or Interconnect. Let's do Interconnect US to US. Etc. So you can see everything that you can order on Google Cloud Platform, you can order here. This is for the purposes of modeling. So I've picked a few items that I believe this environment will use, and then I go into other costs. And this is where you can add in your one-time costs as well as monthly costs to be able to get an even more accurate assessment of what your costs might be. So I'm saying it's going to cost me $1,000 to move these 7 VMs into GCP, so I'm going to stick that in there as migration. And then I've added in some other numbers here. So my monthly network access costs will be $100. I'm thinking that there will be additional administrator services needed that are specialized in GCP, so I've added those hours and the rates, so on. So I'm going to say refresh cost and then go to summary cost, and this is drum roll because this is where you see the final results. Here you go. These are the 7 VMs you chose to migrate. These are the resources. This is the on-prem CapEx and OpEx. This is what you're paying on-prem. Then this is side by side what it's costing you on-prem, what you're going to pay one time. Then this is the GCP fully allocated cost, right-sized cost, and this is for custom. Here quickly you can see that if you use GCP predefined, you could save $148 per month from right-sizing, and for GCP custom, you could save $34. Here is the same information in tabular form. And if you like, you can export this complete plan either to forward it to your customer or forward it to upper management. So this essentially is our product. Now, as I walk through it, you could see how easy it was to use. Now, end to end, the modeling takes just a few minutes. We've had customers that have had large environments, over 1,000 VMs, and they've been able to finish the modeling within an hour. So that should give you a sense of the ease. So this is it. I'm going to go back to the presentation. So to reiterate and summarize, the benefits from Akasha are these 3. Let you read it. Essentially, there are no surprises after you migrate to the cloud. This is a big deal because what we heard is a pretty common complaint that enterprises assume they're going to save costs from migrating to the cloud, and then they migrate their environments with a lot of time and expense, and they find that they weren't saving any costs. And in many cases, the costs in the cloud are much higher. So we prevent rude shocks like that. You can also right-size. So you save costs by only migrating used capacity. And we understand that oftentimes migrating is not just a one-to-one mapping. So we do allow you a lot of editable options for sophisticated what-if analysis. How we are unique? We solve a very targeted cost-performance modeling problem. We give you the most accurate estimates by factoring in on-prem utilization and exposing hidden cloud costs. And we provide these estimates in minutes, unlike a lot of other vendors who take several weeks to provide these estimates. Our costs are also lower than other vendors. In many cases, they're more than 10x lower. And finally, thank you for attending the webinar. And the link there to redeem your rebate is available, and we'll also be emailing this to you. You should check us out at akashacloud.com, And I did see some questions coming in, so I'm going to quickly attend to those questions as well. So the first question is, what is the formula that Akasha uses for cost estimates and savings, and how close does this reflect to reality? This is a very good question. We're obviously banking our business on this. The formula that we use for cost estimates for on-prem is we take a look at all the cost items that go into managing an environment on-prem. So let me quickly show you where that is. So here it is, on-prem cost. So you can take a look at, these are all the cost items. So it's all the hardware, so that's base server, CPU, memory, storage, NIC, hardware maintenance, software maintenance, taxes, implementation, network software, power and facilities administration, backup, and other costs. So this is a list of cost items that most data centers use to evaluate the costs for their on-prem environment, and that's essentially what we're using. These are industry standard costs. Over the years, we have developed a database of costs for different servers. So using that knowledge, we do upload the costs for the servers that we have discovered. And we also allow you to customize these costs. So maybe you received a discount, maybe it was loaned equipment, but what we let you do is go in and edit those costs so that it's very accurate. Now, this is for on-prem cost. How do we do the cost estimates for the cloud? This is because we've written to APIs that the cloud vendors have for their costs. And we go and poll the clouds once a day. So this product is refreshed every single day with the latest cloud prices. So you can get a sense for the convenience that gives you, where you don't have to go off and look at the prices in the different clouds. You can simply use our product to get the latest pricing. That's essentially what it is. Let me go back. There's a couple more questions. How do we do the right sizing? So the right sizing is something where we do have utilization information that we've discovered. And we take a close look at what are the resources allocated, and by resources we mean CPU cycles, memory, network, storage. We take a look at what's been allocated, what's actually being used. Now, to get a sense for what is being used, we allow you to set the period of time within which we measure usage, because obviously usage changes over a period of time. So you can select the usage for a month or 3 months or 1 year, and we look at the usage patterns over that period of time. And we do the modeling for the peak usage, because obviously you don't want to be assigning too little resources for an application that has peaks of usage. So essentially that's how we do the right sizing. Now in terms of being able to trial, there's a question here, how do you offer trials? We do offer trials. It is a small payment of $50, but you can model up to 50 VMs. This is something that's a big environment. A 50 VM environment is a fairly big environment. So this is for first-time customers who are wanting to play with Akasha. So that's what we offer. You can go to our website and sign up for the 50 for 50. Keep in mind, we are going to be discontinuing this because we find that we're a little oversubscribed there. So you have 9 more days to be able to use the 50 for 50 offer, and that's available on our website. All right, folks, it looks like we have run out of questions. I am going to wait for a couple more minutes in case anybody else has questions. And after that, we will call it a day. Here's the URL again for taking advantage of the $500 rebate from Google. This will be emailed to you as well, so don't worry about it if you haven't copied it. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the webinar and found it informative. We will be emailing you and staying in touch. Have a wonderful day.